So the first time Ohio State and Oregon played each other, Oregon ended up winning 32-31 in a game that, quite frankly, coin flip. Really, a couple of things go this way, a couple of things go that way. Ohio State walks out of there a winner, and they're currently the undefeated number one team in the country, with maybe even a stronger case to the number one, just because at that point they would have 3 top 5 wins, while Oregon's just kind of been patiently waiting to get on the field with the Buckeyes again. Ohio State, a game away from getting that rematch. Oregon has already solidified themselves. The Big Ten came out with some tiebreakers and said Oregon's already in, no matter what happens over the next 2 weeks. I know they got Washington on the schedule, but they've already put themselves in the Big Ten championship game. So let's look ahead 2 weeks real quick, Andrew. Given the way the first game played out, given some of the problems that Oregon may be exposed, we've been able to watch this team now for 2 months since. They've gotten on the field with 2 top 5 opponents since then. Right now, vibe check. Are you leaning Ohio State gets its revenge and wins that game, or are you leaning Oregon gets a second straight win over Ohio State?
Probably Oregon, but it's like 55-45, 52-48, somewhere in that range. It's very close because I think we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. Ohio State can look at that game and say, if this play goes different, we win. If this play goes different, we win. If this play goes different, we win. And they can just kind of run down the line. I think Oregon also has a case like that. I think Oregon can point to like that first drive, the Kazmarek play. Okay, well, what if that gets reviewed? Ohio State scored a touchdown on that drive. They missed a field goal. They botched the extra point on one of their touchdowns. They turned it over on 4th and 1 at the 1. Ohio State and Oregon both can realistically come to the table and say, we should have won the game. Oregon can say we should have won by more, or Ohio State can say we should have won the game. So I think I'm still kind of in that, like, this is a coin flip game. It's going to be a close game. The only result that would really surprise me in Indianapolis, assuming it is Ohio State and Oregon, would be one team just blows the other team out of the water. You know, that really would be the only shock to me. So I'm just going to give Oregon the edge because I saw it. I saw Oregon beat Ohio State. I saw Oregon give Ohio State secondary some problems. I think Ohio State, you have to feel better about their front right now. They are causing more pressure than they did. They are doing more creative things than they did when they played Oregon the first time. We'll see if that's going to work, if they do indeed play Oregon again in a couple of weeks. But Oregon also has to feel pretty good. So both these teams are going to come in here thinking they're going to win. They're going to feel confident about it. I'm just going to give the Oregon the edge because I watched it. I saw Oregon win the game. I'm going to say, you know what? They beat them. I thought Oregon played well. I thought Ohio State played well. There were moments in that game where you could say, you know what? This goes different. Well, yeah, that's what happens in big games. That's what happens in top 3 matchups, top 5 matchups, top 10 matchups. A play or two goes different, and the other team's saying, oh, we won. Well, that didn't happen. So I'm going to give Oregon the edge right now because I do think Oregon is really good. I think they're the 1 and 2 teams in the country, and it's just we saw it. So I'm going to give the Ducks the edge right now.
It happens in every top 5 game except the one Ohio State won 38-15, where it clearly looked outband against Indiana. Stefan, do you agree with you agree with Andrew? I know you agree with yourself. That'd be weird if you didn't.
I have
to do this to you too because I did it to Andrew during the week.
I lean.
Hi, Jerry.
I lean Ohio State. Jerry Emming, how's it going?
Great. Great Buckeye win. Happy Saturday night, everybody. Be safe. Go Bucks.
There you go, legend right there.
Yeah.
I lean Ohio State because I think we've seen this defense clean up a lot of things. I think what we're seeing, the way they're using linebackers in some of the blitzes, the way they're using it, I think more often. Cody Simon, it looked like his hair was on fire the way he was playing against Indiana, and if he keeps playing like that, well, watch out because we've seen Sonny Styles be that guy. If Cody Simon keeps this up, it's a strong tandem that they have there at linebacker. I'm interested to see what Oregon looks like the last game of the regular season. They're on a bye this week. They had just played 8 straight Big Ten games before that bye, which is kind of rare the way the schedule lined up for them. I want to see what they look like out of the bye, right? Like have they cleaned some things up? You know, that game against Wisconsin, was that simply a result of like, we just played 8 straight games, we're exhausted, we just had to fly to Madison? Like, was were the struggles more a result of that, or were some of those struggles like, oh, okay, like, Wisconsin might have exposed some things? So that I'm interested to see how Oregon looks, but I lean Ohio State just because I think the defense that we've seen Ohio State bring to the table since the Oregon game is a lot different than the defense we saw in the Oregon game, and that's why I lean that way.
It's hard to beat a team twice, especially when the second time is not in your backyard. I've witnessed that. Back in 2019, Ohio State blew Wisconsin off the field, and Chase Young became a Heisman Trophy finalist. They played again, in Indianapolis, and Chase Young got triple and quadruple, and I swear they had all 5 offensive linemen blocking him at one time. It was weird. And Ohio State had to come back and win that game. It's very, very difficult to beat a team twice, and that alone is why I would lean Ohio State over Oregon. Secondly, Oregon's bye weeks are very ill-timed, man. That's a bad time because you want to be rolling now. You don't want to have to sit down and think about it. You want to just be rolling, and so I am interested in that as well. Plus, they've got some demons to exercise as well. Ohio State's not the only team that's got to figure out its rival next week. Oregon's got to do that too. The other thing is this. Ohio State's got this conundrum where they have a struggle early in the game getting pressure with 4, and so you have to blitz. But when you blitz, you leave your corners on an island. And when you leave your corners on an island, now we're all like, is Denzel Burke going to hold up in coverage? Is Davison Igbinosun, is he going to get a PI call here? And he did get a couple in this game against Indiana on Saturday. But also, or Cody Simon and Sonny Solison say, so? Because we got home. That's it. The answer is, yeah, you blitz. Hey, Cody, get home. And Cody got home this week, and Sonny got home last week. And so I'm with you, Stefan. If those two are going to get home, and if these defensive ends can be more disciplined, Dylan Gabriel doesn't get a 37-yard run. And that's getting into the minutia thing. We don't have to do that right now. It's hard to beat a team twice. And it does seem like Jim Knowles is doing a better job of, you got us on the first drive, but then we figure out and you can't do anything else for the rest of the game.
So I was going to say, I think this video kind of is a vibe check, but I think the vibes of Oregon and the vibes of Ohio State are going to be very interesting to look at going into that game, because Oregon, like Stefan had mentioned, played those 8 straight games. Then you get an abrupt stop, and then you play a team that is not great. And I know it's a rivalry game, but they're not great. And then you go into a Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. Ohio State had the Nebraska game after Oregon, which was a mess. I mean, we can call it a mess at that point. They played around with their food too long. It almost cost them. They almost lost that game. That would have been a bit disaster. But then you beat Penn State, top 5 team on the road. You get 2 games where you can just kind of breeze through Purdue and Northwestern. You dominate a top 5 team at home against Indiana. Assuming, we can check out our other video, assuming that they dominate their biggest rival, the one that had tormented them for the last 3 years, everything that has gone on in Ann Arbor for the last 3 years, I think Ohio State's going to be feeling better about themselves. They're going to be rolling a little bit more than Oregon will. I just think that that's a product of the schedule as well.
Energy. They've been playing at this playoff energy for a month and a half. Because even in the games where Northwestern and Purdue, where it's, you can tinker and stuff, okay, but you're tinkering for December. Yeah. So I'm with you there. That energy does kind of matter in the situation. Oregon's trying to get up for a team that did beat it twice last year. So it is possible to do it. It's just difficult. It's just that sits in the back of my head. It's difficult to do that. And also, I am wondering if the problems Oregon exposed, if Ohio State just spent the last 2 months figuring them out, and no one has really exposed Oregon, then Oregon figured it out and had enough teams that helped you prove and validate that you figured it out. I do wonder if that ends up being the difference in that game. But we got 2 weeks until that. It's Michigan week, baby. It's Stefan's first Michigan week. It's Andrew's second Michigan week and first one in Ohio Stadium. This is like my 6th Michigan week. This is what I do at this point. Get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. This is actually the best window to get it because you're going to get Michigan and you're going to get Oregon. Back-to-back games as long as Ohio State doesn't drop the ball. And go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. Stefan, Andrew, Steven, Michigan week. See you there.